Well, welcome in. Welcome to episode 20. We're here. How are you?
We're ready to go.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, hey.
All right, so we have already gone through the guard portion of our positional rankings. We're here with the small forwards, which, without saying anything so far, the lists, I guarantee there are going to be some things that we're going to get very heated over. NBA-wise, I just want to jump right into it. A little bit of a time crunch, so we're just going straight to the list here. Who would have thought that the number one ranked small forward would be LeBron James, LaFlop, James, Space Jam? What he's named on every list.
Adam Morrison.
Corey Brewer.
Not much said there. Was there any, just to throw it out there, was anybody even had any idea of putting LeBron 2?
No.
I did. I thought about Kevin Durant.
I mean,
not very. I think at this point in his career, you could definitely make the argument for Kevin Durant over LeBron James. I think at this point in his career, just to say no.
I mean, I feel like they're both they're still playing at high levels, and frankly, they're both scoring the same amount. It's just LeBron has a little bit more to the table in facilitating. But other than that, it's like 1A, 1B, if you want to call it that.
I think it could go either way.
Well, it's funny that you say that, actually.
It doesn't go either way in my book, Nico.
Because at number 2, we have KD as
Corey
the top,
Brewer.
as the second-ranked small forward. Everyone had KD at number 2, except for the guy in the wife beater.
Except JT Deuce.
Even the Celtics fans had.
It's a rib
KD.
tank top.
It
It's a rib tank top.
It is a rib tank
Glorified.
top.
Tatum over KD, why?
I mean, basically what I saw from the playoffs last year. I mean, granted, Tatum had a pretty bad finals performance. I'm not gonna put that by him. Obviously, it was horrendous. But those first 3 rounds, he really looked like to be the best player on the court in every series that he was playing in. And it really, I feel like he's gonna take a big step this season. I think he knows what he needs to work on from the finals. And he had a career year last year. I definitely see him having a better year this year. That's why I put him at number 2.
See,
Granted, KD could have went number 2, but I'm biased.
I just see it this way. I just see it this way. Whenever KD steps on the court, no matter who's next to him, he's clearly the best player on there. Other than maybe if he was playing with LeBron or whatever, he's clearly the best player on there. JT, he steps on the court. Who knows? Maybe Jaylen Brown's better.
That's my next point, is because where does KD rank if you had to? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you're doing your all overall, your top 10 players, he's obviously clearly top 10, but where is KD?
Like top 10 in the league right now?
Yes.
Top 3.
Yeah.
So by this ranking,
guaranteed top 3, at most. If you're stretching yourself, top 5.
but at this ranking then,
If you're really
is
stretching
KD
yourself.
3, Tatum 2, and then who's that's my point. If you have KD ranked as a top 3 player in the league,
Yeah.
Dude,
And
I'd say for
Tatum's
that
ahead of
playoff
him.
series, if that's what you're going off.
I made my list
just
based
won't-
off of just. Go ahead.
If you guys didn't have Ime as your head coach, who spent the whole season with the Nets and also has history coaching KD and Team USA, that's a completely different series because that defensive scheme was based on shutting down KD. So you put a different head coach in that mix, we could have seen a completely
just
different
salty.
defense. I'm so salty. But at the same time,
What
they
is
talked
this-
about that.
What is this bias to
They
sports?
talked about
That's
that
so
during the
salty.
broadcast of all the playoffs games, how Ime, he was the assistant coach for the Nets last year. He got to see all of KD, and he also has history coaching it. He saw all of KD. He coached him in Team USA.
You're not changing my mind.
I'm probably not. Cause
Hey,
I'm
but I
just
mean,
saying
I
bias,
think
but-
we all agree that Jason Tatum is at least
top 5.
the 3rd best small forward.
Well, the Bricks and Buckets rankings has Tatum at 3. Everyone else had him at 3 except for Nick at 2, and I had him at 4. I think with a completely healthy Kawhi Leonard, he's better than Tatum. I think he's more, and I think the biggest knock when I was thinking about this stats-wise, obviously Tatum took a big step up defensively last year, but Kawhi has always been known as the best two-way player when healthy. That's the big issue. But the other thing, too, that I think just comes into account, that I think that, between the two, Tatum, there are so many times where, we always say, in the finals, it was Jaylen Brown that really picked up the slack. Kawhi is a top 5 player in the league, and I can't put Tatum ahead of him. Rob, I got to hear your thoughts on this. I need to hear it.
Well, I've been silent for a minute, so let me just say, first things first, Tatum was not the best player. in every series of the playoffs. He was the best player in half of the playoff series. Maybe not even the third one if you want to say Jimmy Butler outplayed him.
Okay, I'll
That's
give
just
you
my
that
take
one.
on that. Secondly, I can't put Kawhi over Tatum because we're kind of projecting here, right? A little bit towards next season. We're taking what we know and projecting for what we think. I've seen Kawhi miss 2 out of the last 4 years of NBA basketball. Granted, when he plays, he's been spectacular, but he's missed 2 out of the last 4 years. I don't know how we can see Jason Tatum go on a constant ascend and not put him over Kawhi for this current year based on the fact that he has played fantastic over the last couple of years. And he's on that upward trend where we don't know exactly what we're gonna get from Kawhi next year. It's gonna be very, very good. But is it gonna be better than what we get from Tatum? I don't think so. That's why I put Tatum 3 and Kawhi 4.
My favorite thing that I kept asking Jamarius last episode was, do you think, like, because we were talking more about Bradley Beal, but it was like, do you think Kawhi, we've already seen the best Kawhi?
Yes.
So,
I personally think that we've already seen the best Kawhi. I think Raptors Kawhi is the best Kawhi we're going to get.
That's what I was gonna say.
He led a team to the finals as the lone superstar and was the finals MVP. I know he's done that before with the Spurs, but he was the star on that team. I think that's the best Kawhi we see.
Yeah, I mean, although I still think, like, if Kawhi is completely healthy, I still think it's a safer pick than Tatum. But obviously, I'm in the minority here. But going through the top 4 already, we've flown through it. LeBron, KD, Tatum, Kawhi. I think now is where things start to get a little bit more interesting, especially with this pick, because the 4 and the 5, or the 5 and the 6, excuse me, very interesting. Because when you total our list so far, the 5th ranked small forward, to my surprise, is Paul George. Bono, Rob, Brooklyn, the 3 of you guys all were in agreement with this. Nick and I having Jimmy Buckets here, because spoiler alert, he's right behind him. Genuinely shocked that you guys, like, I thought I was high on Paul George, putting him where I did.
I don't really think it's that crazy. I mean, Nick also doesn't have him on there. I think it's because he
No, I
thinks
do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
PG-24.
PG-24.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
I
have him under DeMar.
It's kind of a dated name, but
It's a very dated name.
No, I did that on purpose.
But I just think Jimmy Butler, you're basing your whole game on I love to work hard.
He had 47 points in an elimination
By working
game.
hard.
He had 47 points in an elimination game.
At the
Did
same
they
time,
win?
like,
Huh?
did they win?
They won that game, yeah.
Paul
Forced
George
game
is
7.
still
Oh, yeah, I thought it was gonna
technically,
be-
like, not technically, but, like, for his, like, technical skills, a better player than Jimmy Butler. Additionally,
I agree with the technical skills part.
like, I don't say that he works harder because Jimmy Butler is, as I said with Kevin Durant, once he's on the court, he's the best player for Kevin Durant. Jimmy Butler, once he's on the court, he's the hardest working player.
Here,
I'm not saying that in any way he is bad or technically bad. I'm saying I just think Paul George, you know what you're going to get unless he gets on a stupid, crazy slump like he does on occasion. But I feel like Paul George is a little bit safer.
no, here's my thing with
Oh,
Paul George.
wait. I got to sub Robin. He's raising the hand.
Wow.
Okay,
Unbelievable. Is that special treatment because I'm not in person? I think it
And
must
I
be.
gotta let you take the.
I gotta say something after, but go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't worry, I'll be quick. Better offensive player, Paul George. Better defensive player, Paul George. Brings more to the table when he's on the court, Jimmy Butler. I'll take the better offensive and defensive player.
Wait. Rob. You didn't
Yeah.
work hard.
That's what I meant. Brings more to the table, works harder, is grittier, whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to call it.
Oh, sorry, keep going.
I'll take the better offensive player that came in 3rd in MVP voting 4 years ago, and I'll take the better defensive player that before it was Tatum, talking about the young star, the young two-way star that can shoot the 3, that can play incredible defense 1 to 5, that can, get to the basket and do all these crazy dunks. It was Paul George.
Brooklyn and Nick are fuming.
I have Paul George
Before Jason Tatum was getting compared to Kevin Durant.
I would
he was
not-
getting comparisons
no.
to Paul George.
If you look at Paul George, okay, Paul George is a great player. Don't get me wrong. In the playoffs, What has he done? They
We're
blew
talking
a
about
th-
2022, 2023
Okay, but I'm just
projection.
okay. But what I'm saying though, okay, you want Paul George? He hasn't. Jimmy Butler wins his team games in the playoffs. He brought his team to the finals.
In the bubble.
Brought his
He
team
has
to
Kyle Lowry.
Paul George blew a 3-1 lead to the Denver Nuggets in the bubble.
Paul George didn't blow a 3-1 lead. The Clippers
Yes, he
blew a
did.
3-1 lead.
Paul
No,
George could have. Paul George could have put the Clippers on top against the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference Finals, and he blew the 2 free throws. And you're telling me you want him over Jimmy Butler, the man that brought the team that should have made the finals to the finals and almost beat the Celtics again this year?
Didn't.
By himself?
Well, didn't. That's what I'm sick and tired of, is hearing that Jimmy Butler's by himself. He has some of the best role players in the league. Bam is a defensive player of the year candidate every single year.
They have Bam.
He's got Duncan Robinson. He's got the
Paul
sixth
George
man
has
of the year,
Kawhi
Tyler
Leonard,
Hero.
yeah.
As much as I hate him, Tyler
Yes.
Hero is
Never
very
there.
solid.
But yeah, but when he is,
Sixth
he's
man of the year,
top
potential
5
defensive player of the year, and superstar. And Jimmy Butler, why is he by himself? Kyle Lowry just got maxed. He's not by himself.
I don't know.
It's like we're
Paul George Paul George is a great player. Don't get me wrong.
It's so interchangeable on this list. It's such a big debate.
I'm taking Jimmy Buckets.
Jimmy Butler
over
shoots
Paul George.
25% from three-point land.
I'm taking Jimmy Buckets over Paul George any day of the week. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I do
Oh yeah,
love
I'll take
work
Jimmy
hard.
Butler. And reasoning, he got that dog in him.
Yeah, it sure does.
That's all I'm hearing. That's all I'm hearing.
Paul
Hey,
George
but I
is
will
going on the
say
bench after you.
I will say though, most of us have Paul George at 5, Jimmy Butler at 6.
I know.
I
I'm
don't-
fighting my case.
I'll
I'm gonna let
us.
Rob talk.
Giving my
He gets
opinion.
Jimmy
I'm the
Butler
biggest
at
Jimmy
my
Butler
spot.
stan, and I would take him over Paul George.
Before we move past this, I think this is an interesting point to make. While I was making my list, I think the room between Tatum and Jimmy Butler is a lot closer than it is Jimmy Butler, Paul George. And I think the same argument you make for Kawhi for Tatum can be applied to Jimmy Butler, Paul George. Butler older, played a whole year, PG, little banged up last year. So, I mean, talent-wise, I think I agree with a lot of the points. Again, it's not that big of a discrepancy.
It's really not. I'm not. It's
Gonna be honest, I have no clue what you meant.
As in, I think Tatum, like, if
took me
there
a
was,
minute to process that, and then I just didn't.
if there was something to switch, I think that Tatum and Butler are closer to compare, as in where you could say one is better than the other, than it is Paul George, Jimmy Butler. And I think the space between Tatum and Paul George right now is pretty significant. Thoughts, Rob?
I'm sorry, that messed me up a little bit too.
Yeah, bro. You're speaking
I think
hieroglyphic.
I got it though, and I think I got to agree. I think that the space between Tatum and Paul George is pretty significant at this point in time, and I think that the space between honestly 5, 6, and 7 on this list, on my personal list, giving it away a little bit, it
I would
goes.
say 5, 6, 7, 8 for me.
I had
A
Butler.
lot
at
of these
7.
picks here are so interchangeable.
I think it does drop a little bit now after this pick.
I think Butler's a clear 7 though. Like it's not even like I don't even think it's close. Or not that I don't think it's close, but like I definitely think he's a clear 7. DeMar DeRozan is number 6. Are we ignoring a guy that just averaged 28 points?
No,
yeah, he's
but
my 7.
No.
Wait, sorry, he's my
How's
8.
he your 7?
Sorry, he's my 8.
Yeah.
He's my 6.
All right, what's the main knock on DeMar DeRozan's game?
He can't shoot.
No,
He can't shoot the 3, right?
that's it. But really, he brings
DeMar
everything.
DeRozan shot 10% better from 3 than Jimmy Butler last year on the same amount of attempts.
Here we go again.
But Jimmy Butler works hard.
But, you're right, Bono.
I know.
No, you're
That's what put him
right.
at
Jimmy
number
Butler
1
works
now.
really hard, so he's better than DeMar DeRozan. Like, are we serious?
I don't know. I can't say that the Bulls' success last year was all off of DeMar. I mean,
That's not what I'm saying.
Injuries plagued that entire team.
again, I
Yeah.
think if you put Jimmy there over DeMar,
Jimmy was there.
Jimmy was
Why
there.
not?
like if
And
you put Jimmy
well, then
next-
what? Like then
Like you want to talk
Then
about
what?
I mean, they're gonna work the hardest. They're gonna.
Jimmy did play with
Prime D Rose.
Prime D Rose,
Joakim Noah.
Joakim Noah.
Gibson.
Tosh Gibson.
DeMar DeRozan last year versus Jimmy Butler. DeMar DeRozan versus Jimmy Butler was better in points, field goal percentage, 3-point field goal percentage, and rebounds. The only thing he doesn't have on him is assists.
I don't think there's a debate here. I think
And works hard.
I mean, DeMar,
Honestly, in my opinion, where am I? 5, 6, 7. I think you throw in You know what? Honestly, 8 and 9, the gap isn't huge. The gap isn't huge, but it's like,
Dude, Jimmy's faster, bro.
That wins.
I think you can argue something other than maybe 8 and 9 being in the,
Now,
in the 5 and 6, if that makes sense.
my question for you, Bono, we're making this. I mean, Jimmy Butler's at the focal point of
I
every
guess
argument
so
right
now, huh?
Might as well
You
compare him
have-
to Joe Harris at this point.
The difference, if I'm correct here,
Both play
if
good
I'm
defense,
looking
good
at the
shooters.
list right now, I mean, I technically have Paul George between the two of them, but we already have him ranked ahead. But you have a name that hasn't been mentioned yet that's in between Butler and DeRozan, and that's Brandon Ingram. You
Yeah, I mean, he's next.
You have Brandon Ingram ahead of DeMar, though.
Yeah, I think DeMar has hit a ceiling. Like, he just, if that makes sense, because you still have.
Damn good.
It's very good. Yes, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just am very unsure. I like, as you guys know, I like my Rocky picks. I like my unsure
is,
picks.
like,
Rocky is a word?
Insane.
Yes. But I don't
Blasphemous? Yeah.
I don't think this is really that insane. I mean,
No, I don't think it is. It's just
I'm just saying your other ones were not.
Oh, my other ones are pretty fun.
This one is actually Rocky. Well, not exactly Rocky.
Like,
the
I
other
feel
ones
like
are
I
atrocious.
put DeRozan behind Brandon Ingram just because really I think he hit a peak. No, I'm serious. I could argue like both
Persuaded
sides.
me. I mean,
I could argue both sides. I am unsure of
feel
what's
like it.
going to happen with Brandon Ingram's situation once Zion comes back, once everyone is good, and same Rosen. I'm unsure once everyone's healthy. So it's
At least put PG.
I just think you can argue both sides. DeMar really led the team last year, but at the same time, he kind of fell off coming towards the end of the year. I think that once I'm really running right now, and no one's really helping me out.
I think
I have Brandon Ingram at 8.
better than DeMar DeRozan because he plays basketball.
Yeah, that's true with it.
he resembles
Brandon
Kevin
Ingram
Durant. Therefore,
I like Brandon Ingram. I think he's really good. I think that he's going to kind of take on like a Zach LaVine kind of role when Zion comes back and now a full season with CJ McCollum, where Zach LaVine was the guy, almost like Devin Booker in Phoenix. He was the guy that was getting a lot of volume scoring because he was the main guy, and now he brings in somebody else that can really help him, and his numbers maybe go down a little bit, but his efficiency goes up. I think that's going to be Brandon Ingram next year.
Do you consider? I know this is really random for Ingram, but on that team that's going to have a healthy Zion, do you think there's going to be issues distinguishing who's the certified 2? Because is it McCollum or Ingram? Who do you really like?
I think there's going to be issues for the certified
move the
one.
rock
I feel like
honestly.
no, I don't think so. I think McCollum
I feel like
is at
McCollum
that
can-
age where he's like, I'll give the keys to the young guys.
That's fair.
Like I feel like I kind of feel like McCollum's like he knows he's in a spot to where like he's the role player, like he's the vet, and like he'll average double digits.
He
He'll
knows,
average,
he's,
like,
he knows he has a
yeah,
pocket
I
ball
would
that's
hope
like-
he averages at least like what 15, 16 for him?
How I see it is I see CJ McCollum as the guaranteed 3. Guaranteed
I see him
3,
as
as you said.
Yeah.
But then it's really just the fight for the one spot.
I think
because
that could be a tie between
maybe-
Zion and Ingram.
Maybe the team doesn't necessarily trust Zion yet because we've only had Brandon Ingram over the past
Which
2
is
years.
Who had a
Which
good
is most
playoff
realistic,
series
Which
too.
is realistic, yeah.
He had
But
a
at the
really
same
good
time,
playoff series.
He has the name, he has the star power,
And he was an all-star too.
but so is Brandon
So is
Ingram.
that, yeah.
So it's like you
I
can go
think
either
the
way.
organization's trust is more in Brandon Ingram, so I'd put him at the one before.
Honestly,
Zion.
I don't trust the Pelicans' decision making.
Well, look at where they are, so neither do I. So,
All right, I think this is a good moment for us to take a quick break before we wrap it up. I mean, we're already 7 picks in. We've been flying through this. So we'll be right back with the final parts to our small forwards list. I didn't even realize that we were already 8 picks in. We only got 2 left.
Yeah.
To go through it, we've got LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, very controversial apparently, Jimmy Butler, DeMar
very controversial,
DeRozan,
apparently.
Brandon Ingram. We more highlighted when we were talking about DeMar, but we got Ingram right after it because that's apparently the new theme. Is when we talk about one player, we just talk about the guy that should have been there again.
I guess so.
So that puts us at number 9 with someone that I think, Rob, I got to hear your take on this again because I know you're the firm believer here. I actually had, well, spoiler before I go into it. Number 9, Chris Middleton. I had him above Brandon Ingram. Bono had him slid in right at 9. Same thing with everyone except for Nick, who had him 1 spot below. Rob,
monster.
you're very high on Chris Middleton. I was kind of shocked that you weren't the guy to put him ahead of Brandon Ingram.
I seriously considered that, actually. I think I flip-flopped him. I think I had Chris Middleton up there and then flip-flopped Brandon Ingram back because it's more of a projection. We talked about seeing the best of Kawhi earlier. I think we've seen the best of Chris Middleton. I don't think there's really anything up from here that we can get from Chris Middleton. But with that being said, that's fantastic. He is the clear number 2 on a championship team. And I think that that's the role that fits him best. I don't think he can lead his own team, but I think at what he does, he is absolutely perfect at it. The guy that can shoot the lights out from 3, can create his own shot. He's just a fantastic player all around, but I don't really think that there's a spot for him ahead of this. I mean, like you said earlier, maybe jumping Brandon Ingram, but that would probably be it.
You know, I was gonna say, I think you can argue someone else, but in my opinion, I think he is the most well-made second option in the league.
That's me agreeing. Sorry.
I mean,
How was I supposed to know that?
You never listen to poetry.
I can agree with that, actually. I mean, should I go into my pick now?
No,
Might as well.
I
Okay,
mean-
well, okay.
You're
I had
on
Andrew
your face.
Wiggins above Chris Middleton, 1-1. But for me, it's kind of interchangeable. You can have him either way. I only put Andrew Wiggins up there because he's a little younger, and he showcased himself in the finals. Granted, Chris Middleton stepped up when the Bucks won the title too. He had a great finals, but I think Wiggins is a little younger. I think in his situation, he's the guy that, like, if Curry or Clay or any one of them is having a terrible night, he can step up. He's shown it. He's done it before. I'm only giving him that little edge just because of his age. And I think that there still could be a little bit that we get from him next year. Maybe. That's why I'm putting him a little bit. But I think Wiggins and Middleton's kind of interchangeable for me.
I think the reason that I had Middleton above Ingram is because I think once you get off of once we hit DeMar, so basically Ingram, Middleton, Wiggins, Mikal Bridges, once you get to that area, I think that Chris Middleton has the highest floor. Like, he's consistent. As Rob said, I mean, he's arguably the best second option. That's like a second option that can't be a first option.
Yeah.
He gets the job done. He's the perfect complement to Giannis. And I think if you like the one way when I'm stuck between two guys, is I flip them on different teams. If I put Ingram on that Bucks team, I think they get worse. I think they get worse.
Yeah.
Any arguments on that?
No.
I know my verbiage there was that was great.
You know, it's really rare that I get.
Quick cut, because we can't hold our composure here.
When you say something like that.
The final rank, number 10 in the small forwards list. Someone that I think if you threw this name out here a year ago would have been a big shock, but taking a step up from what he used to be. You were talking about him a little bit before.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Wiggins, besides Draymond, best defender in Golden State.
Yeah.
Better than Clay, Rob?
At this point,
Dude,
yeah.
Chris
I mean,
Chiozza.
Clay can barely walk now, so yeah. I think
Steve
too
Kerr
the
on
biggest
court.
thing. I think too the biggest thing was I think it also kind of showed like why Andrew Wiggins was picked as an All-Star, because that was kind of a big thing, like kind of like why is he an All-Star? But again, I feel like the finals he kind of in that whole playoff run
I
too
don't
for
think
the
Wiggins
Warriors
took a
they kind
step
of
up, though.
they kind of showed it. I think he took a
It's
step
it's
up.
as Rob says. I mean, he joined a team where his points went down, his efficiency went up, and he became like in the finals. He was one of
Okay,
these-
yeah, that's
he was
different.
he was
defenders.
he was one of the go-to defenders in the finals, and
He was on Tatum, right?
yeah. Yeah, he made Tatum look like he forgot how to play basketball.
Looked like
RJ
Bruce.
Barrett, Mikal Bridges. Was there any thought to slide them into 10?
No.
Replace Bridges with Keldon Johnson, and then maybe some thought.
Someone else had Keldon Johnson on the list. See, I'm happy I wasn't the only one.
Keldon Johnson is a really good player.
No, he is very good.
Just got extended by the Spurs.
Now, you had a name.
No.
I mean, if we're gonna move to the honorable mention side.
Oh
of
my
things,
God, I didn't expect to see that.
There was a lot of differences. I mean, one thing I looked at
Mhm.
is if we were going to all the way through 15, Joe Harris
that.
would crack the list.
Franz Wagner. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Franz Wagner, Joe Harris, OG Anunoby, Michael Porter Jr., all names
The thing
outside of
is-
Bridges and Barrett that were thrown in there.
Well, I wanted to touch on Joe Harris bias completely, but
He's not top 15. I'm so sorry.
really?
I don't think there's any world he's top 15. Not after coming off an injury and being a three-point specialist. I think that's a crime. I think it's a crime to put him there over Keldon Johnson.
So RJ
Actually, yeah, I'm
Barrett,
gonna
am I
change
right? Am I right, guys?
I'm
RJ
actually
Barrett?
changing that. I'm putting Keldon Johnson in.
yeah, look at that. I
Okay,
mean,
maybe I'll take Kelly Oubre out, but
Actually, no. I have Johnson in at 13. I'm gonna put Oubre in at 14.
I think Michael Porter Jr. would be on there undisputedly if he could stay healthy.
he's been so
He's been
injury prone.
yeah.
That back issue has kept him out.
He
almost
played
two
9
full
games
seasons,
last
like-
year.
Right. That's why he's not on my list. Otherwise, he would be on my list.
No, he would be on my list too, but
And that may be hypocritical because I have Joe Harris at 15, but I think that Joe Harris has proven, leading the league in three-point shooting more than once. I think that he's proven that he deserves to be on there where Michael Porter Jr. were more projecting.
Also a
He has
solid
won the-
defender.
also won the 3-point contest.
Oh, he won the 3. I can't.
Yeah, well, Kevin Hart beat Draymond in the Is he on this list?
Remember when Glenn Robinson won the dunk contest?
Yeah, the worst
Yeah, me
dunk
too.
contest. I won it in my career. I gotta be on this list.
Compared to the shooting guards episode, this was a little all over the place.
Just a little was. A little. I don't know. I feel like some of our picks they weren't like crazy picks, but like our reasonings, I feel like we went a little more in depth.
really gonna
Except
be
Anthony
just
Edwards at number
basketball.
3. I don't think anything's gonna top that.
One thing, we started this with the shooting guards. I want to keep this going, even though Jamarius isn't here. Nick, we'll go Nick around the corner. Plus, wow, great timing. Zoom's gonna end in 10 minutes. But your pick that you think made the most sense ranking wise, and the pick that you heard that made the least amount of sense. In Jamarius' words, that's nasty. You know.
I guess JT at 2. Everybody thought that was disgusting. I don't see why. I guess my best pick would probably be DeMar. That's 6.
Like that's your favorite, DeMar over. That's the one that you're like, if there's any spot that's 100% right in my eyes, it's
Actually,
DeMar
no.
at
It's
6.
it's Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler at 5.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Brooklyn?
This is gonna sound weird because like my favorite pick is the one that made the overall most sense was Chris Middleton. Like most of us except for Nico and Nick, but
To be fair, I had him higher. To be fair.
yeah, but we all like agree like
Mine was interchangeable.
exactly. So we all pretty much agree that Middleton.
Excuses.
All right, so now my worst pick. The worst pick, we all agreed on Middleton accepting that role and playing as that second go-to option. And he embraced it, and he does that incredibly well, which is why he has a ring to his name. And I'd say the worst pick I put on there has to be maybe deciding to put Kelly Oubre on my list at all, which is why I took him off.
Slandering his own pick.
Yeah.
Not what you see. Bono.
Honestly, I'm not mad about anything.
Franz Wagner.
It's 15. I don't really care about you at 15. Like, it doesn't make a difference. I think.
I'm at 15.
What?
Shut up.
Shut up.
Yeah, shut up, Brooklyn. I'm not mad about any single pick, or I'm not like necessarily like excited for any single pick in there, just because I feel like
It's basketball.
it's very not necessarily clear cut, but you can argue something and nothing's gonna be extremely crazy for top 10. Past that, you can throw in any name you want. I don't really care, but top 10, I think it's pretty set in stone. There's no real wiggle room in there.
I think my favorite pick, I think, has to be me putting Kawhi at 3. I think he's getting a little disrespected, and I'm curious to see what he's going to be doing come if he's healthy this year, what the Clippers going to be. I have high expectations for the Clippers, and the ironic thing is, on the flip side of it, I loved having Kawhi at 3. I was so shocked with how elevated Paul George was. I thought it was going to be pretty clear that Jimmy Butler was going to be ahead of him. But him falling at 4, as you said, I think that like there is really it's all really up for debate. It could go either way. Me personally, I think, like I said, apparently the way I explained it was like very, very advanced. But I think the debate between Tatum and Jimmy a lot closer than PG. But Rob, what are we feeling today? What was your favorite? What was your least favorite?
My favorite is definitely Paul George at 5. I mean, I feel even better now after we had that whole discussion that Paul George is number 5. I think he's really safe there. Hot take, my worst, I think if I had to pick one, is Kevin Durant at 2, because I think he could very easily be 1. And I feel like I might have given in a little bit to LeBron James, like the legend that is. And going into next season, I really think that you can make the argument that Kevin Durant's one.
I think in the top 4, not going into next year, but as the season goes, through, you can make an argument that any one of them could be the best small forward in the league. All of them have the potential to be the best small forward in the league. We just don't know how this is going to turn out, though.
Is it bad that I agree with that except for Tatum?
Yeah, that actually
I think
is.
that's bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Tatum. There's a world where Tatum finishes as the best small forward.
I think there's a pretty
I think
easy
there's a
world.
I think there's a pretty good world he does
He's shown
that.
the same issue.
Especially
I mean,
with the 32-year-old LeBron, or excuse me, like
He's
almost
32.
40,
Oh,
almost 40-year-old
All right, no, never
LeBron
mind.
James,
It's
and
LeBron
like a
said it's totally
33-year-old
32.
Kevin
I
Durant.
think
I think,
LeBron. Oh no.
yeah.
You
sorry.
have Kawhi or LeBron and KD as 1A, 1B. I think that I feel the same about that, but I could be completely wrong. It happens a lot.
It could be 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. So I mean, I don't really care.
But I think that's going to do it for this week's edition of Bricks and Buckets. Make sure to follow the socials. Twitter's at Bricks Buckets.
Instagram, Bricks and Buckets. Follow us on YouTube at Bricks and Buckets. And additionally, follow SCTV3 on everywhere. I don't really care. Everywhere. It's everywhere.
Shout yourselves out.
Follow me on Twitter at nstorlazi.
How about you speak a little louder, too?
Follow me on Twitter at nstorlazi.
So speak louder and you just get closer.
To the mic. Follow me on Twitter at nstorlazi.
I say this every episode. I don't know the login for my Twitter. Please don't look it up. It might not end up well.
But for the best takes on Twitter, you got to follow Rob.
Yeah, at Robert_Dicky11. Can't guarantee they'll be the best, but they will be flaming hot.
Otherwise,
shout
follow
out- shout out-
They call me Brooklyn23 on Instagram.
Shout out, I don't know,
And
Joe
Be Real.
Aruda today.
I mean, that just threw me off. Of course,
what?
I'm Nico.
I'm Bono.
I'm Brooklyn.
And I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob.
And we'll see you